Hi and welcome to the channel if you're new, and welcome back if you're already a subscriber. So today, as you may have noticed by the title, I'm going to talk about supernatural vision. So supernatural vision, it sounds very highfalutin, doesn't it? But really when you break it down, supernatural, it's natural. It's natural to be super. And it's natural for our vision to be super. So supernatural vision. So it's in our culture, we're taught such one-dimensional ways of looking at things, such limited, shut down versions of the miraculous possibility or the miraculous outpouring of consciousness that we are, expression of consciousness. Now, in one of my earlier videos, I spoke about my experience of healing my eyes. Now, just before we set forth on this, let me just say, I'm not a doctor. I'm no medical profession. I know absolutely nothing about that whole sphere. And I think I've only ever got my eyes tested once when they told me that I needed to wear glasses. And if you look at the previous video, I might even brush over it in this video. Anyway, so I just have to set this up for the whole scope of the way they do things here. So nothing that I'm telling you is any kind of advice or anything. It's all my own experience and my own opinion. In fact, opinion's the wrong word, my own download, I should say. So let's just get into it after that little précis of how the setup should be. Now, vision, eyesight, this whole thing, and how we're taught about these things. We're taught to see life as very one-dimensional. And, you know, I could say that that's probably no accident that we are taught that, because, you know, possibly the worst thing you can have for any kind of system that's trying to control things or make things a certain way is very highly conscious, highly energized, invigorated, alive, and ecstatic people. Because when you're that, you tend to question things more. You don't just do what you're told. You have an inquiring mind, an inquiring approach. And this is really how I want to tackle this whole thing, because when it comes to vision, we look at this in such a limited way. And we're taught this right from the get-go, to look at ourselves in a very limited way. And what I'm proposing here is that there is a really expansive, magical and wondrous, miraculous way in which we can look at ourselves. But this way of looking at ourselves is actually the natural way. This is our natural way of expressing life. And we've somehow found ourselves in a reality that is contrived to dampen down that sense of wonder, that sense of magic, that sense of mystery, that sense of the sacred. So I've got some notes here, so I'm gonna, as usual, which actually look like a spider's crawled all over the page, but hopefully I can find my way through it. So really this whole idea, I mean, like even the way we talk about like supervision, you know, supervision's become some sort of middle manager that watches over people and tells them what to do without any real sort of, you know, kind of wisdom or knowledge of what it is that they're asking. So even this, the way we use language dampens these possibilities down. So again, it's like looking very carefully about how things are presented to us and questioning those in a very creative and expansive way. And what you'll find is that all sorts of wonders start to pop out and become available for you as a result of making these kind of inquiries. So, you know, in many ways, when I talk about eyesight and I talk about vision to people, then the first thing they say, oh, you know, I've got whatever is, you know, I wear glasses, or I've got this, or I've got that, or there's some, and it's all related into this kind of the physical. And of course, that's the thing that we seem to experience directly. But I'm going to put to you that there are many different types of vision, and these different types of vision are all interrelated, interconnected in kind of what you might call a matrix of vision that is comprised of all of these different ways or modalities or even realms of vision. So of course we have physical vision, so we all know what that is. We we can look at stuff, we can read a book clearly, or we can see number plates clearly, or whatever. We just say, yeah, okay, I've got good vision, I can see well. And if you have issues with your eyes, you will go and you will be wearing some kind of glasses or contact lens or something like that. So there's the thing that you can go to, and it's called, I think they're called optometrists. It's a tongue twister, isn't it? They even made the word so you can't say it properly. So you will go there and they will, peer into your eyes and give you some kind of statistical data or whatever about what your eyes are, how, this degree of short-sighted, long-sighted, all kinds of different things other than, whether your eyes are the right shape or rugby ball shape or whatever. So there's this whole thing. So there's physical vision. I mean, this is just like, there's probably many, many more than I'm going to even mention here, but I'm just bringing this to your attention so you can start to think about your vision and your eyesight in a more expanded way, a more expansive way. So we could then say we have auric or energetic vision. So this is the vision that can see energies, auras around living things and even inert things, anything that's giving out energy, anything that has which is everything basically. So, one has the ability to see that and, really just see it directly, like you're seeing me on the screen now. It's obvious. It's an obvious thing to be seen, and yet pretty much no one can see these things. So we'll get into that a little bit more. Then you would have called, the inner eye, your mind's eye, inner vision. And you could say that in a way that's more like a simulation. We're able to simulate things, in our mind, and we get an image. So, but there's something that's actually looking at, it seems as if there's something that's witnessing that image. So there's a kind of vision there. It's a different vision from the physical vision, but it's vision. So then we have, you could say imagination. So I separate these things out. It doesn't mean that I'm right or anything, but I'm just doing this just to demonstrate these different ways of looking at vision. And I think imagination, you could say, is kind of driven by creativity, the creative spirit, the creative qualitative aspect of reality drives imagination. And imagination is pretty much what you would call non-linear. So it doesn't have to perform in a straight line. It can just go anywhere. It's got an incredible freedom about it. It's the image wandering and manifesting and then going forward in time, back in time, out of time, anywhere. So, it can really just do whatever it needs to do in order to conjure up different visions, experiences and everything. But it's a form of vision. Okay. So then we could say that we have dream vision. So when you're in a dream and you see something, you see it, but you're not seeing it with your eyes. You're seeing it. They say, oh, well, then that's the mind seeing it. But I'm going to separate that out. In shamanic terms, you build a dream body, and over time you build a dream body, and you build a strong body, and you build, dream vision. So that's another type of vision. Then we could say that we have what we could call spiritual vision. So spiritual vision, that could be psychic vision, even things like remote viewing, all of these things that come under that kind of label is another form of vision, being able to even see into the spiritual realm, to actually have a visual experience of the spiritual. So that's another form of vision, another modality of vision. Then you could say, you know, I mean, if you wanted to really get into it, you could say we have emotional vision. So, you know, there's a way that we see emotions and actually see them. And I don't mean just looking at people's face, but it's like there's an emotional quality that we can actually have a visual experience of. There's a visual side to that. Now, and you know, like I said, there's probably many others that I've not even touched on here, but the real thing that I'm getting at is that the idea of vision and sight is multi-dimensional, multifaceted. And once we start to understand that and look at it from that perspective, then it opens up a whole different realm of possibilities to us. And, you know, the scientist Rupert Sheldrake, you should check out his stuff. He's amazing. Actually, I used to live near him in London. So I used to see him wandering around, and he'd give like talks at one of the local churches and stuff like that. He's a super nice guy. And, but yeah, he talks about the idea that the eyes aren't just receptors of light and energy. They actually, something comes out from the eyes. So that, you know, this idea of we're just kind of, there's something that comes out from the eyes. There's a meeting of reality. You know, something comes out to meet reality and collapse it into form. So the eyes are not just these receptors. So it's another way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it. So as you can see that, you know, we've got all of these. And the other thing that I really wanted to bring in here as well is this idea of liquid, water, the eyes, very connected to water, the liquidity of things. And I'm going to just drop this in and suggest it here. And this is just kind of a download. I have absolutely no evidence of this at all. And, you know, unlike sort of Brian Johnson, who we mentioned in the other videos, that he's got nothing but data and evidence and, you know, scientific stuff like that. This channel doesn't work on that sort of thing because I haven't got $2.5 million to spare to do all of this. So this is really between us and an experience. So, you know, this is how we find the quality of our experience getting better and enhancing the quality of our experience. And we find that out for ourselves. We don't need to give that out to data to confirm whether we feel good or not, or you feel better as a result of connecting with the things that I'm sharing here. So I'm going to suggest that water is absolutely vital to eyesight. And these things just never get linked up really, do they? And you may or may not have heard that, I'm not even sure how recently, but it's fairly recently, that they've come across this fourth phase of water, fourth stage of water. And it's called they call it the exclusion zone. So and actually it's interesting because my wife's name is Esther. And Esther actually means to be concealed, to be concealed. So like, and in the book of Esther, the name of God is concealed. And this thing of the miraculous, like God is concealed within the workaday stuff of life, the grit and the grind of life. God is concealed within that. And our job as we move through life is to reveal the revelation of the miraculous, the revelation of the sacred, the revelation of that. And it kind of just reminded me the idea of an exclusion zone for this kind of miraculous fourth state of water is called the exclusion zone. But I'm kind of interpreting it in the same way as Esther, that the divine and the miraculous and the magical is hidden within this fourth phase of water, or fourth state of water. And I'm also going to speculate that the eyes are so intelligent, so wonderful, so miraculous, that of course they will use this fourth state, this mystical fourth state of water must be included in the eyes somehow. And I'm going to suggest that it's the spiritual vision. It's the way, it's these other forms of vision, these what you could say higher forms of vision that are connected into water, the spiritual aspect of water, the communicative aspect of water, the divine aspect of water is very interrelated to the eyes. So the very first thing that I would suggest in terms of radically impacting the quality of your vision on all of these different visions is to look at the quality of the water that you're consuming. And like I said, this fourth stage of water, I feel, is very relevant here. I don't quite know how it's relevant, but I know that it's relevant and I know it's important. And when we are consuming super high quality water, this then leads into this whole, like I said, this interconnected matrix. So it's a bit like all of these different points. When each node of those points is worked on and is literally the quality and the volume of that particular node is increased, then that sends more energy to the next one, the next one, the next one, next one, next one, and so on and so forth. So for example, if you are to look at, I know that eyesight fluctuates enormously. And, kind of when we go and get the, eyes tested and we're given these results, like any kind of test, any kind of, like blood test, anything, or scan, whatever, they're generally just giving us a snapshot in time, whatever that is. And, and then we get this piece of information back and it says something to somebody that looks at that kind of thing. But with eyesight, I would say, for example, emotional qualities around eyesight are enormously impactful. So, the more uplifted and the more happy and the more positive one feels, it seems that has a direct correlation. I mean, not surprisingly, has an absolute direct correlation to the quality of our vision, how our eyes are. And like working on these different levels. So you can work, for example, to you can up the energy of your auric vision or your energy vision. And you can, of course, work on your inner vision, the ability to that simulation vision. So you can work on all of these different types of vision. And the other thing is that, a bit like the chakra system in yoga, you can like work on the energetic system, and that of course will then translate into effects on the physical aspect of your being. So, you could say that if you're having any kind of issues with your eyes, then it might be an emotional thing that you need to work on, or it might be like I'm going to talk about now, this idea that most people cannot really clearly consciously access these other visions. So even a dream vision, you can remain lucid in a dream and have that sight. So you bring back more information, consciously bring back information from the dream realm. And, in the same way with the spiritual vision and psychic vision, all of these kind of things. So, we can work on those things, but in a way, because we're at the point we're at, it's almost like, the physical vision is the most grossest. Don't mean that in the negative sense. It's like the most dense version of these all. So if we want to start working on there, then the first thing we have to look at is this idea of liquid, like the sort of the gel-like quality, the soft quality of the eyes. and these ideas that these lenses are made out of, I mean, it's mainly water, isn't it, really? I mean, we're all made out of water, but the eyes are very, you know, the fact that we have tears, we cry, water comes out of the eyes. So this way of upping the ante with your water. Now, again, you know, I'm not giving you advice of what you should do with your water. However, it's very important not to drink contaminated water, because that will impact directly on all of your body, of course, but particularly the eyesight. And the other thing that you don't want is too much, you know, sort of the calcification of the eyes, calcification of the joints as well. But you want to keep things moving. So there needs to be a movement, a flow, a fluidity. Yeah. So your eyes need to be looking at things all the time and moving from the distance to close, from the distance to close. You have to understand and start to become aware of what's coming out from your eyes. And the way that you can look at this is that I am a great believer that a lot of the issues that we have, the reason that we can't see, most people can't see auras, they can't see energies, this is all our natural state. It's absolutely natural to see these things and to be able to see them clearly, and to also for them to have that communication directly with us. Now, tension, fear, you know, kind of this idea of unhappiness, perpetual, keeping us transfixed on just the physical things, the things that are, you know, in other words, what's they call the reductionist view of reality, that, you know, everything just comes from the physical form. Like consciousness is a result of all of these physical cells firing away, just the numbers, and consciousness is kind of an emergent quality of the physical. So of course, the other way of looking at it, much more in a way beautiful and magical way, and in a becoming, you know, with certain scientists and people like now realizing that what's called the idealism in philosophy, that, you know, consciousness is primary and everything comes out of consciousness. So once you understand that, then these other different types of vision make absolute sense. There's no, you don't have to think, oh, how can there be, like, how can physical eyes and lenses create auric vision or energetic vision? How can they have remote, you know, create remote viewing? You know, that's all just, how can that happen? You know, so, but once you understand that consciousness is the primary force, or God, whatever you want to call that, you know, there's a primary energy, there's an intelligence that is at the forefront of everything, that is the foundation of everything, that is everything. This is what non-duality talks about. Yeah, there is just this. This is reality. And everything is just an appearance in that. So when you understand things on that level, then it starts to make sense that all of these other forms of vision, all of these other forms around physicality, they're all interconnected, and there's so many different levels to them. But this doesn't mean we have to sit down and understand all these different levels, because once you open up to this and allow yourself to really open to this possibility, these things become apparent, they become obvious, and you start to notice that they are obvious, whereas before they didn't seem, it was like they almost didn't seem possible, like some kind of fantasy thing. So unplugging from the fear narrative is so important. So allowing yourself to focus on the positive outcomes, the things that are good, allowing yourself to focus on beauty, on things that are beautiful. Beauty is an absolute quality of reality. It's a quality that appears in reality. It's an underlying quality of reality. And seeking out beauty and creating beauty are fundamental for having this supernatural vision. So we talked about water. We talked about the quality of your water. Now, the thing that I do is that I have distilled water and I have filters as well. And I add minerals into that water, very tiny amounts. That's what I do. And people may say, you don't want to add minerals in, you don't want to do this. I'm just telling you what I do. And it seems to work. So add tiny little, it can even be just a tiny, tiny, tiny pinch of pure salt, not the kind of salt that you get from, that they stick on crisps and stuff like that, but, pure salt. Just a tiny bit of mineralization of the water. So once we start to work on this level, then we start to see that there's a cleansing that takes place in the body. There's a cleansing that takes place in the mind. And there's a cleansing that takes place in that consciousness. So it starts to work itself in a different way. And like I said, all of these things are interconnected. So upping the ante and improving one aspect of this, like the water that you consume for your eyes, and seeing and making an absolute concerted effort to focus on beauty, focus on things that are beautiful, notice what is beautiful. So the more you do that, that literally bathes your eyes with beauty. And you may or may not have noticed, I'm sure you have, that the mainstream media does not bathe us with beauty. So it's removing your attention from that. Yeah. So then after a while, the inner vision, that simulatory vision, stops simulating all of these horror stories and all of these dreadful things. And you'll notice that it starts to simulate more beautiful things, more unusual possibilities that have beauty written into them, so there's a different quality of vision starts to happen. And it starts with this, where you place your attention. You have that, you could say on a non-dual level, there is no free will. Things are just happening. And it seems within that we have some room to make a choice as to where we place our attention. So this is exercising your choice to place your attention on things that are beautiful, things that carry that energy, into your eyes, and then actually giving out beauty. So focusing on that beauty coming out from you, your inner light, your inner radiance, coming from your inner soul, your inner core, and out through your eyes. So when you look at things, when you look at people, it's like a benediction. It's like this kind of love coming out from your eyes. And even if you say, I don't feel it, it doesn't matter. You don't have to feel it to begin with. You just have to practice it and do it. And what you'll notice is that the quality of your vision on all levels will start to come up. And you'll start to have this sense of your nervous system relaxing, the eyes actually relaxing, and this tension grip of fear, which literally cancels out all, pretty much all of these other forms of vision. The fear, false evidence appearing real, cancels these out, and it holds us in this grip, this vice-like grip of negativity and fear and anxiety. So we have to place our attention on the beauty and the wonder that is always already there. Now, this doesn't mean you don't tackle the things that are not good, the things that are ugly, But what you start to realize is you seek out the beauty. You seek out the beauty even in the ugliness, and you seek to transform that. And this is all part of your vision. This is the vision. And we speak about having a vision for your life, a strong vision for your life. Now, I'm saying that just working on these levels will feed into that vision. So even if you're not 100% clear about what your vision is, just clearing and purifying these different visions and becoming aware that you have all of these. Your vision is not just what the optician tells you. Your vision is something much, much bigger, so much more miraculous. Can you imagine it to even have eyes? Why reality has created eyes? It's astonishing. It is utterly astonishing. And it's been made so freaking workaday. We have to break free of that conditioned way of looking at things. And our vision is a wonderful practice, wonderful way for us to do that. And really, in a sense, this is part one, because I'm going to go into more ways in which you can radically up the ante and improve these different types of vision. But for now, if you were to just take away one thing, it's the quality of the water that you consume. Yeah, has a direct correlation on your eyes. Actually, take away two things. And the focus on beauty. And if you just do those two things, you will notice that the quality of your vision starts to improve. And then you can work on the other areas if you wish. Because I think it's really cool to be able to see energies, to be able to see auras. It really does help. And it's really wonderful. It ups everything. It makes everything just look more beautiful, more wonderful. And you start to see the intricacies in things, the patterns, recognition of these patterns that are encrypted, these miraculous patterns encrypted into everything. And our natural vision is supernatural vision. And it's super for a reason, and it's natural for a reason, and it's vision for a reason. So thanks for watching again. Please share the video as much as you can. Encourage you to invite people to subscribe to the channel so they can get hold of this kind of information. Like and share, and I'll see you in the next video.